We started today harvesting our Chardonnay grapes for our beautiful Cap Classique, the Thornlands. Beautiful balance, crisp acidity, perfect. So we're back at the farm, or back at the winery, and thank you for celebrating with us spectacular South Africa. This is our promotion. And I'm going to taste these wonderful wines with you, but I'm so glad that you could spend time with us in the vineyard. I have to make apologies for Alvi not being able to join us to taste these wines or to present them to you, but as you saw for yourself, we started our harvest now, and he would be all over the show, checking on the vineyards, and of course things must run smoothly. Now, just to come back to our Cap Classique, you were with me when I showed you the Chardonnay grapes that we harvested. Do remember that at our farm we have several different farms, at least 7 different farms, and at each farm we have spread out vineyards. Not specifically that we plant one cultivar on a farm. They are more soil specific, and Thornlands is one of our favorite farms for our Chardonnay grapes, and hence the name of our Cap Classique, Thornlands. And you witnessed our harvest today. So let's first taste our Cap Classique, which is Thornlands, 65% dominated by the Chardonnay grape. And of course the early harvest, because we need the acidity from these grapes, and then of course the later we leave the Chardonnays to ripen, the more bolder the fruit will become. But now we have to bring them in because we're seeking this crisp acidity that helps us also with the aging of the wine. Beautiful color. Now, 65% of the Chardonnay is in our blend, and then the balance would be Pinot Noir, traditionally the grapes of Champagne, as you know. We keep the wine on the lees after the second bottle fermentation. We keep it for a minimum of at least 2 years, but we prefer 3 years. So when you look at the color, you will see that it's more developed. It's nice and developed color because of the time that has already spent in the bottle on the lees. And what does that mean? It means that you have a more developed, fuller bodied Cap Classique. So if you smell the wine, these are the aromas that I pick up. Beautiful creaminess, that sort of that buttery creaminess coming off the lees contact, right? And then lemon. The lady Chardonnay behaves like that. The longer you leave her there, then she changes, and then it comes out that lemony, buttery aromas. And then taste. Pinot Noir just playing that role to give you a nice fuller taste on your palate. And the bubbles, as you can see, they are racing out of the depth of the glass to the top, forming a beautiful foamy crown. But when you sip, it sort of explodes in your mouth, and that's what we need, a great attack on the palate, because we have to celebrate with these wines. And don't just wait for a Christmas or a birthday or a wedding. Celebrate life. Celebrate our beautiful South Africa. Celebrate, ladies and gentlemen, that our wine industry has its birthday soon, which is on the 2nd of February, 1659. That was the first time that Jan van Riebeeck wrote into his diary, praise be to God, for today, wine was made for the first time with Cape grapes. So, celebrate. Once you can have this beautiful wine in your glass, think back and celebrate again. Bubble. Still on the topic of our Chardonnay, we do plant Chardonnay on other parts of the farm, but here, these blocks, we will leave to mature. Alvi's got an absolute thing about allowing the grape to develop fully in terms of ripeness, in terms of flavor. Phenolic ripeness is what we refer it to. Now, once these beautiful ripe Chardonnays come to the winery, they are crushed, and then, ladies and gentlemen, when the fermentation proceeds, we put them in barrels. French oak barrels, we use the Burgundian barrels, which are bigger, so 300-liter barrels, and then the fermentation with wild yeast. And this is what is important to remember, that the wild yeast takes exceptionally long to complete. Now, if you are picking up noise in the background, it's not thunderstorms. We don't have thunderstorms. You saw the blue skies today. But we are busy actually taking out of the barrel cellars behind me, and we are busy actually removing the Chardonnay 2020 vintage now from the barrels. And that is what you're hearing. They're rolling the barrels now to empty them with our 2020 Chardonnay in it. So we're tasting the 2019. So back to the barrel. Fermentation in the barrel can take up to 4-5 months. When fermentation is completed, the yeast cells die and they form like a sludge at the bottom of the barrel or tanks. And this grey sludge is what we refer to as lees, dead yeast cells. That's what lies in a champagne bottle as well. So we leave the wine there, and frequently in the beginning, for a couple of months, we actually stir the lees through the wine. The French refer to this as bâtonnage. So we stir the lees, and this has a beautiful impact on the wine and on the mouthfeel of the wine in terms of the velvety coating that it impacts on you. And then of course, because the wine is matured for 12 months in the barrel, you actually have a structured wine, which means tannins extracted from the wood that gives it a backbone so that you can keep this wine much longer. Now, a lot of people are put off by the thought of buying the wooded barrels or the barrel fermented and barrel matured wines. Please don't. When I pick this wine, this queen, I call the Chardonnay the queen because it's such an important grape worldwide, I get already that beautiful lemoniness coming through. Coconut maybe, toasty coconut deriving from the wood aromas, right? But that lemony, beautiful developed aroma from the beautiful ripe Chardonnays and spent time in the wood. I almost want to say it's perfumed in a way, really perfumed, and let's taste it. Round, creamy, aromatic, fruity. Man, wine tasting is about fruit. And then, is it bitter because people say tannin is bitter? No, absolutely not. It just gives you that coating over your mouth and gives you the weight, not on your hips, on your palate, that is nice and full and elegant. Elegant. This is what I would describe my 2019 vintage, ladies and gentlemen. Try it. Don't be put off, well, I don't drink wooded Chardonnay. Try it. I promise you, the integration of the wood in this wine, you will hardly notice. There's so much fruit that plays a role that's more important than what you wonder, was it in a barrel or not, pure. Remember, I'm tasting our reserve range with you. What does that mean? Our reserve range will always have the photograph of the bridge. This is the drift that crosses over the Breda River that Opa Alvi, our grandfather Alvi, was instrumental to build. And why? Because we farm on either side of the Breda River, and it was a quick access to both farms. So the locals started calling this whole road linking the farms the Alvi's Drift Road, referring to the grandfather Alvi. And this is where Alvi Jr. got the name from and the idea from. And so he didn't know that the locals called it, and then suddenly he heard this one day and he said, well, that's a nice name, and the Alvi's Drift name actually comes from this bridge. Whenever you see this label, the bridge, you must know 100% from barrel. The wines were put and matured in these barrels and French oak barrels for a year. So this is our reserve range. It's really got class. Now let's go over to our red wine. And the drift, referring to the bridge, fusion, not confusion, but fusion means a bit of everything put together and we fuse it into a magic of satisfaction. So in this wine, the drift fusion, that we also classically want to refer to as Alke blend, there is a blend, ladies and gentlemen, of 38% at least Cabernet Sauvignon, 33% Pinotage, all matured in barrel, and then Petit Verdot and Shiraz. And voila, you have a magic in your glass. Nice black fruit aromas, also the vanilla and spices coming from your wood that it was matured in, of course. but then the fruit, the beautiful ripe fruit, and a cheeky little bit of a cherry there in the background, I suppose, coming from our pinotage. Structured, lovely, full-bodied. Man, this is for any discerning dinner, a wine to bring to your table, even decanted. And it has ageability, of course, at least 8 to 10 years. Now, I hope that you can soon come back and enjoy these wines. Remember, we've got a promotion that starts on Monday where these 3 bottles will be in a 3-pack that you can order. A celebration, our Cap Classique Thornlands, our Reserve Chardonnay, and of course our Diffusion. These bottles are available in a 3-pack, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure. 1 dinner party, 1 box. Happy days. Celebrate with us, and thank you for supporting us always.